With you until we really kind of ping you back again in months or in a year. And that's really a two-way thing. We do our best to reach out to everyone, either mentees or mentors. But it's really also on you, as a mentor, as a mentee, to reach out. If we need us to really kind of connect you with a mentee or a mentor that you met here, we will do our best. But if you really have that contact information, go ahead. I mean, just really do your thing, do your mentorship. You don't really have to be involved. We will guide you, we'll help you, we'll give you whatever support, but you are the one who has to initiate that. Otherwise, basically, it will not really work out. So that's really my main thing that I would like to kind of really remind everybody here. And for the kids, the mentees who are here, there's an opportunity to network, get contact information, get to know people. We will get more people coming in. Again, it's Saturday morning, it's very cold. But really get to know as many people as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan, very much. All right. So, who can tell me why we're having the conference this month? Take a guess. It is Mentorship Month. Thank you so much. Awesome. The lawyer in the house. Helps us out. I appreciate that.
The total poverty level is about $24,000 and change for a family of 4. That's a very little bit of money. Very difficult to get by on that. We also know that poverty impacts kids more acutely than it impacts adults. 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 5 children in this country live in poverty, and 50% of poor kids live in neighborhoods of concentrated poverty. And what the science has come to tell us is that if you live in a neighborhood of concentrated poverty, your road to hoe is simply much more difficult than if you happen to be a low-income person in a more economically diverse neighborhood. Here's what we've learned over the last few years. This is a statistic that blows me away every time I say it. 86% of third graders who live in neighborhoods of concentrated poverty don't read at grade level. Think about that. 6 out of 7 third graders who live in concentrated poverty don't read at grade level. This is the most important early metric to know whether a child, family, a community is on track for a good academic outcome, a good economic outcome, and now we know a good health outcome.
So you are graduating senior and you're interested in scholarship. Inspiration is one of the scholarship that Len has spoken of is one of many that are offered in the Atlanta area or throughout the United States. You are eligible to more than just this 2000 scholarship you just mentioned. The difference is that this 2000 scholarship is going to be selected by you membership, management, or leadership over and above the criteria for everything else. But if you qualify for something from either the National Scholarship or the Georgia Scholarship that are offered by Inspiration, you will get that. Plus, there is still a chance for somebody to get the scholarship just through your deal. In case you have any question about it, not only do you have to have a great GPA, just like you mentioned, 3.4, but believe me, a lot of people lose points because they do not talk about their community involvement. They do not talk about their
The reason why they're the most valued
and work involvement. Actually, any of that, this is work. Count it, make it count, put it in, and please come talk to me if you have any question. I would be very happy to tell you how we judge those.
So one of the things you can do is also search for programs that may have the combined program, the dual admission, where you're combined for pre-dental and dental at the same time. There are several schools that they offer that, so you're going in and you're pretty much on cruise control, so long you're doing well, passing your exams and things like that. I know in South Florida and Nova Southeastern, they do have that program and several other schools, so you might want to expand your search and add more schools when you consider that. It will save you, it may save you possibly a couple of years. You're going to do it admission, you're going in 6 years without any plans for after dental school, any plans on specializing, or just going to do general dentistry? So, who has any questions?
How about I give you an advice then, when you think of questions, okay? So, all of you are high school students right now, right? And you're thinking of, applying to schools, and this is really an important decision. And you're also thinking of majors, right? And that's also an important decision. And you're thinking, well, first, what am I going to do after I graduate from my major, right? So, you're going to be a physician, a psychiatrist, you want to be a physicist, you want to be a researcher, you want to, whatever you want to do, this is the end result, right? So you have to understand, yes, what should I do in order to achieve and get to my goal, right? And ultimately, you want to choose something that is going to help you.
Because I want to search it out like in like 9-10 months. I don't want to do day one.
The best thing that I can recommend to people is if they're preparing to study for the LSAT is to take a mock LSAT. Find a mock LSAT, a good one to take it, find out where you are, what areas you need to concentrate on. And if you take it the first time and you just do awesome, you have your starting point. There's also a lot of strategies for taking the test that you can find in material that are extremely helpful about how you should take the test. It's game the system whenever you can. It's not cheating, it's something you should be doing as an intelligent person who's trying to do better on it. There are strategies for what questions to answer, what questions not to answer, things like that, because you can get caught up on something and spend entirely too much time and leave a lot of points on the table. And you don't get points taken away for getting something wrong with the LSAT, you just don't get a point. So if there's like 2 minutes left on the test, it's worth it to you, just Christmas tree, whatever it is. So,
At the binding and stuff like that. So these packages that you package for your customers is what they do from they started this transformation from being a board to being a software as a service company 2 years ago.
My name is Mo Mustafa. I'm a VP at AT&T of networking. So I do all of the stuff that gets to your house and so on, right? I'm glad you could make it. By the way, we've been doing this for 6 years. This part of the conference is the one that we get most feedback on. It's the most important thing you do all day today is this part of the conference. So, networking is a big part of what we do. Those balloons are not for happy birthday celebrations, right? Who is interested, I'll take them one at a part. Who's interested in business and entrepreneurship? Raise your hands. Those guys and gals figured it out. They're actually sitting where they're supposed to sit, okay? Who is interested in medicine, healthcare, and pharmacy? I mean, smart doctors, right? Who's interested in engineering and tech? Okay, if you are, then you need to make it all the way to the Georgia Tech part. And so there are these 2 tables. There's those 2 tables, right? So if you're engineering, try to make it to these 2 tables. Who's interested in law? So smart lawyers, they already made it out there. How about journalism and communications? Who wants to be an anchor, a social, digital social, advertising, journalism and communications? Okay, so that's the right table there. How about public service? All right. Well, guess what? She just made my life easier. I guess that was straightforward. So, as you sit on these tables, think about 3 questions you need to ask the mentors. Think about 3 questions you need to ask the mentors. Question number 1. Why do I need to get into this field? What makes this field so special? Second question. What do I need to do to get into this field? Can you guess what the third question is? Anything you want to ask? Okay. So we have, how much time we have for this? So we have till 12:15, right? So it's 12:30. So if you are not sure about, what you really want to do for a living eventually, right? What do? Say, I think I want to do engineering, I think I want to do finance and all, but you know what? I'm not really sure. So move tables. That's why we call it.
And I'm just more interested in the fact that why is this table not filled? I know. Because what's going on, what's happening around us, I think this table should be crowded with people that want to learn what's or how we can follow this path, because we need more people graduating this field.
So we actually have a bunch of mentors. One, the missing one, Salvation Day, is actually on CNN. She's into digital communications, which means that all of the social media stuff, she takes care of that.
Do you know if she's going to be here?
Yeah, she is. She's actually in one of the sessions.
Okay.
The other one that is one of our mentors is Dean Obedella. You guys heard of him? He's actually a regular. He is a lawyer turned into comedian. We'll probably find out more about him. And you can Google him, or you can look at him on YouTube. But he is a regular on CNN, Fox, and that. He is very much involved in politics.
She said that in her interview. All the committee member told her, like, wait a second, you want to think about it, like, you made something that could be considered a bias toward you, a strength. And she got accepted as So what I'm saying to you is, like, from my experience working, I learned it. So use your background, your ethnic background, as a strength more than a weakness.
The nice thing about medicine in general is that it's not just a grade, right? Like, yeah, they take into account the GPA, you have to do fair on the MCAT, but it's also you as a person. And part of getting into medical school is the interview, and that's actually a big part of it. You're interviewed by several different people, it's not just one person, and it's like a whole day event. So you can sell yourself at that interview. I always tell people my MCAT score, so I'm not a good test taker, I'm a very bad test taker. And the first time I took my MCAT, I was, third year student, pre-med student, and I got 22. And I remember my professor looked at it, she's like, well, it's time to talk about other professions for you, like 22, you're not going to do much. I was like, you know what, let me take it again. And whatever, I'm just going to try, it doesn't matter. So I studied harder, and I took like Kaplan and all these courses, right, because I just needed to improve my test taking. I took it again, and I got 26, not that much better, right? So again, my professor was like, Mona, you're a physics major, let's just go into medical physics, it's a really cool field, do something different. I was like, I'll just apply, like, what am I going to lose, right? So I applied, and subhanAllah, I got in. And, I'm a Muslim, but I use like hijab, things like that, like Dr. Hall is saying, to my strength. So what I was telling Wade in the car is, a lot of people will say, I'm not energy, and it's like feeling sorry for themselves, and feel like they can't do much and they can't succeed. But you actually will have probably one of the best things, because you have overcome so much. So if you can overcome that, you will overcome anything. You will not be the one that says, I can't do medicine, I'm going to drop out. You will tackle it, and you will never and you'll be able to relate to a population that a lot of, standard and white so you use that to your advantage for sure.
And actually, when we go to biomedical engineering, Georgia Tech, end up taking classes from Georgia Tech.
You will, you're just
depending on what's
no,
called my dad, so he was like, okay. I just got done with my business, so I'm gonna put
Exactly right. It's more credible. You got the CNN even doing all the hard work, right? You have journalists there doing all the legwork. You just take it and pull it and put it on your website. But also you have to state it. You could have resources. Let's say cover a news article or a news story after a right there. Whether it wants to make it, this has to be on it. It's sendable. But it would look great to have it on your website, have images and video, because then they would seem like they are able to cover a wide spread of stories and angles. And then the cool part is the cost of it is done too. So it's interesting. They're paying us to use our resources, and we take their stories as well. So for example, the first story that you got a section there is an entire section of fees that come from the United States and all of the stories. And why would we want that? Why do you guys think we need that? Do we really need that? We do actually. We need that for relationships, establishing relationships. There can be a story breaking in multiple countries and a lot of things. Tests and streets. They're more capable of managing it. We don't have brands out there. We don't have
Some miracle child who cannot do that. You have to be studying throughout the semester and taking the time. And it's not just doing the reading for the next class and then moving on. You have to review the material so that you understand it. So when you go into the final, you can recall that step and be able to write intelligently down.
Guess what? Throughout this process, you're going to have the urge to quit. Right? You're going to want to give up. Okay? Because it's so difficult. And that's the hardest part of the entire process. Is that you're going to come to a point where, like, I'm so done with this. I can't open my eyes. I can't go through it. I want to stop and I want to quit. And every successful person feels that, feels the urge to quit. And you have to keep going. And you have to go through it. But you're going to feel it, and that's part of your humanity. And
I was getting the patient ready for surgery, and I was, putting the betadine on the eye and whatnot, about to drape the eye, and the anesthesiologist or the anesthetist said, I was talking to the technician, he overheard something, he said, is that Al-Qaeda code? And I about lost it. I went and reported him and he got fired. So I don't take that kind of stuff very lightly, to be honest with you, because you stand up for your rights. If somebody is exhibiting some racist behavior, you need to call them on it.
I agree with you on that. I never take racism as a joke.
Yeah,
I get really offended. I'll make a big thing out of it.
Yeah,
It's not a joke. And I see it all the time.
Our young folks.
I won't, very simply. Also, there's going to be some financial calculators. There's going to be on your table, and I'll go through those in a minute. Feel free to look at them. As I go through the presentation, I don't mind Q&A, but we are on an extremely tight timeline, so I will end with Q&A also. Feel free to think of questions. If I go through something that's too much jargon, you can slow me down. So my intention over the next few minutes is to hopefully ignite a spark within you that compels you to think about your financial future earlier rather than later. Some of the short-term concerns in the country that I find staggering is that most individuals don't have enough cash or money set aside for basic emergencies. Overall, long-term concerns, many people do not have enough money set aside and invested to live comfortably, not extravagantly, comfortably as they retire. Both of those are overwhelming.
She had an agency since I was like 8 years old. And I saw her start that from the ground up, and also learned a lot about determination and perseverance from her. So those two definitely were models for me, and when I was starting my business, they've been like my own personal coaches along the way. So yeah, that's...
One thing, what is your ultimate goal with not only your not just with this particular product, but your ultimate goal in your business life?
So I showed the pictures of Jack Ma and Zuckerberg and all these guys because I want to have something that has the type of impact that what they've created has. For me,
Training and residency training. When she said that video, I was like, I got to show this because it's very interesting how we don't have the coping mechanisms internally to handle this stuff anymore. Like it was unheard of, and I trained from 2004 to 2008. For me to even consider telling my attending I need a day off for a mental health day, like you just suck it up and do it. Right? It's a different mentality, right? Okay. So we said entitlement, lack of direction, respect, time management, and maybe lack of you said lack of direction. Okay. Anybody want to add to that?
I think also different expectations.
Okay. So different expectations.
Yeah.
What she perceives as being required to fulfill her job, and what that other person, the interviewer, feels is. Which side did you guys sort of feel more you were leaning towards, the interviewer or the interviewee?
This is a big question.
I mean, my position is very clear, but I want to make sure that.
I just have to say that she would never work for AT&T. We would never hire her.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Thank you very much. I grew up in Peachtree City, Georgia, which is, I don't know if you guys know Peachtree City, but it's a little bubble down south near the airport. Went to high school at McIntosh High School. There I was the captain of the Science Olympiad team. I was sort of a nerd. I did debate team. I once tried out for
I
basketball.
wanted to give you a little bit of some examples in my life where I had some tough conversations. And if you walk away with anything today, I want you to walk away with knowing that you must push yourself forward to have these tough conversations. I am where I am today because of my decision to have and initiate some conversations. There are moments where you have no choice and it's like immediate, it's all of a sudden, it's in the moment, you have, someone is approaching you and they're calling you out on something and you have to respond and it's right away. Other moments you can prepare, right? So it's always better to prepare yourself, but you need to have them. Walk away with knowing that tough conversations help you grow, they help you get where you need to be, and they help you define your story, define your life, define what you want. So some of the places where I've had tough conversations started as early as my time in college. And how many of you here are in college? How many of you are in high school? Okay, so this will work for you. Where I decided that I wanted to finish my 4-year program in 2 years. Okay, this is at Georgia State. Any Georgia State folks? Okay, you can do it. So I decided to do that. Now, finishing a 4-year program in 2 years means I'm crazy, 1, right? Right? 2, it means that I have to commit to doing nothing else but classes and studying and so forth. But 3, the biggest hurdle was actually that I had to convince the university to allow me to pile on additional work to finish in the time that I'm proposing to them. And here I am, this 18-year-old, and I wanted to do it for multiple reasons that I'm not going to get into, but I wanted to do it, and I wanted to be able to do that and get the support from them. So that was my first, toughest conversation in an education, career kind of path. And you know who I had to go and speak with in order for them to allow me to take 10 classes in 1 semester? The dean. So I had to go have a conversation with the dean. The dean themselves had to sign off on allowing this crazy 18-year-old girl to take 10 classes in 1 go. But prior to that, I had to prove myself. So the first semester, I had to